What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fan, 49er gang? This is your boy Niner Gang Podcast back in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, let's get right on into it. So we're up here. We're going to talk about these wide receivers, man. We got a nice little crop of talent. To start things off, I'm going to say shout out to Ja'Cory Pearson. What's going on, Bebop? A.K.A. Jake Peasy, for coming through and blessing us with his presence. If you don't know about Ja'Cory Pearson, he was the leading receiver in the XFL this year, along with the fact that if you follow Destroying, A.K.A. Donald DeLahaye, he used to be a punter / kicker. Now he's a YouTuber. Still can't punt and kick, by the way. Hey, Mom, what's going on, Roy Boy? And basically, it's going to be a different situation for him. He, he's been out there doing the YouTube thing. He doesn't worry too much about it, and then at the same time, Pearson was definitely one of the guys that was consistent with the one-on-ones that he would run. So that's how he kind of put his name out there and got that opportunity. And, he came in, burnt somebody. I forget who it was. I think that whoever that person is obviously not on this team anymore. But he came in, burnt somebody, and then they didn't sign him. But we got a few people to talk about, a few different football players. So instead of us starting at the top, going to the bottom, we will go from the bottom to the top. We'll talk about the people that we have here that are not really over the top, kind of people. We're not enamored with them. They're just possibly camp bodies and long stretches to make the team. So we'll start off with Isaiah Winstead. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. Looks like Winstead had a 1,000-yard season at East Carolina last year. First 1,000-yard season of his career as a wide receiver. Averaged 12.3 yards per catch, had 6 TDs. He did have, that is basically what it was. He was just a receiver. He did his thing. 2022, East Carolina was his best year. So, hey, 1,000-yard receiver, 6 touchdowns. You can't complain too much. You got to kind of take what you can get on that one. So, Winstead, once again, still possibly a camp body, long stretch to actually make the squad. But we'll move on. We got Shea Wyatt, wide receiver, 5'10", 178 pounds out of Tulane. He only played 2 years, and basically it looks like he played his freshman year, didn't play junior, and then played senior. But his last season, 692 yards, 19.8 yards a catch, and 7 TDs. That's actually not bad at all. So, if you can come in and average almost 20 yards a catch, that's a good thing. And, we are definitely good with that. We love people who average, that amount of, yards per catch. And we definitely covet the yak people, So it's like if you get the ball in your hands, you get down, you can boogie, you can make people miss, then, yeah, you're definitely a part of this squad, and we love it. So we'll move on. Daz Newsome. He's 5'11", 190. This was a guy that we picked up last year as an undrafted free agent. I don't really see much from him. Honestly, I would have rather kept Jay Peasy and then let somebody else go. I know he's short. I think he's only like 5'9", 5'10". But he's a beast. You know what I'm saying? And he's small, he's stout. You could use him almost like you use Debo every now and then. But, Daz Newsome, not really much to really say. Then we got Tay Martin. Tay Martin had, let's see here. Looks like, he was with us last year too. Another undrafted free agent. Nothing really big on this person. Excuse me. Not a lot to say about Tay Martin. Probably just a holdover because somebody kind of pounded the table for him or something like that. Then we got Chris Conley in there and just a wily old vet. Sometimes you just have vets there to figure out certain things. But I will say this. When it comes down to these next few people that we're about to talk about, this is where it gets for real, for real. So We'll talk about Ronnie Bell. Now, I have watched some film on this kid, and my, that kid has some definite skills. Got some good boogie, some good wiggle. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Juwana. So I like Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell is definitely a receiver that we should be looking out for when it comes to OTAs, training camp, all of that stuff. We want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on this cat because we actually did draft him, and he does actually have some really good qualities, as far as for a wide receiver. Hopefully we can get him out there, put him to work, and he can definitely get produced. I mean, heck, anybody outside of the starting two receivers, if they give you 5, 6 touchdowns in a year, they're solid. That's what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And Ronnie Bell, you're right. You're right, Roy Boy. Ronnie Bell does definitely have potential. I can see that. I can see that much. I love the film when I watched it. I was like, okay, yeah, you scrappy, you good. You'll go up after it. You'll fight. That's the kind of receiver I like. Next guy I'll talk about is Danny Gray. Now, Danny Gray had a lot of expectations placed on him when he first came in, strictly because he was supposed to be our speed guy. Danny Gray was supposed to be taking the top off defenses and making sure that people were afraid of the deep ball. Here's the problem. Danny Gray was irrelevant due to the fact that he couldn't get on the field, along with the fact that he barely even played special teams, along with the fact that there was no one to throw him the ball for us to be able to actually utilize his speed. If you think about it, the only person on our squad right now that has a strong enough arm to be able to throw the ball down the field, Danny Gray, is Trey Lance, which is why we need to let him start. We got to hook him up. I don't think that'll happen. I've been saying that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh man, it's not that. No, that's just my thought process. I think Kyle's got it made up in his mind. Brock is the guy. Brock is going to be the one taking us into the future, and that's that. But either way, Danny Gray was not able to really necessarily get on the field. He even came out in one of the very introductory press conferences for himself and said no block, no rock, all of those things. So it wasn't that Danny Gray didn't understand his own words and take his own advice. It's just sometimes things, it takes time to progress. It's not just a walk in the park. You won't just find your way with these things very easy. So hopefully this year he gets back on track and he can become that deep threat, and provided Trey Lance is on the field. Other than that, you're going to have to learn some routes, man. You got the one thing you can do as a person with God-given talent, God-given speed, is to have the intangibles of the fact that you can run routes too, because your speed will make you come out of your brakes quicker. It'll make you stop on a dime faster. All of these things come into play, and you can be able to manipulate, a DB or a safety or possibly even a linebacker very easily with that. So it's just continuing to work on the craft and continually getting better, and hopefully that's what he's done and what he will continue to do. So next thing up is Ray McCloud. So we'll talk about him. And he's our punt returner, kick returner. Ray is a really good dude. He did what he could for us this year. Wasn't nothing crazy or spectacular. He had that one run for that TD, and everybody went insane. The sideline was going crazy. I think it was like some type of end around or something to that effect. But, he's going to be the punt returner / kick returner, so I see him definitely most likely making the squad just due to that. But other than that, I don't really see much coming out of him. I don't expect a lot from him as far as from a receiver status or nothing. And what kills me is you got people like Kyle who get up there and lie to your face, and then, won't even think twice about it. He gets up there and says, oh, no, we looked at Ray Moore as a receiver before we did anything with his return skills. You did? Let's take a look. Let's see what we got. Ray McCloud on the year had 4 carries for 78 yards. He averaged 19.5 yards per run, and he had 1 TD. And that 71 yards was that big run. So that's all year long. And Ray McCloud appeared in every single game. So you had 4 carries. So did you really look for him? Definitely not in the run game. It was nice that you used him, but that wasn't his idea. And then Ray McCloud, he was there all year long. That man played 17 games and only had 25 targets. 17 games and 25 targets, 243 yards receiving, 17.4 yards a catch and 1 TD. But you looked at him as a receiver? No, you didn't. You didn't. He's a special teams guy, and that's the thing. Like, I don't understand. And oh, okay, there you go. Well, that's cool, right? But it just to me kills me when Kyle says stuff like that because I just proved him wrong. You looked at him as a receiver, but you gave that man 25 targets in a whole damn year. No, you didn't. It's okay. So, very simple, straightforward. Ray Ray's going to be our return guy. That's always how it works. Um, you know, yeah, believe you me, man. I know I didn't. It was crazy to watch Cap shove that afro into his helmet when he would go out there with a fro. I was like, oh Lord, this is ridiculous. But nonetheless, we'll move on. Juwan motherfucking Jennings, third in Juwan. Everybody loves Juwan Jennings. His energy is infectious. His personality, you just gotta love it. Like the dude is he's a guy that you're going to root for day in and day out. You'll never change that. What's going on, media? Oh, okay. No, it's cool. Don't worry about it, bro. So at the end of the day, Juwan Jennings will continue to be who he is, continue to help us out, and be the guy that we need him to be. JJ caught 35 passes for 416 yards, 11.9 yards per catch. He only had one TD. His longest run was 44 yards. But, he comes up when we need him. And, yes, he reminds everybody of Kendrick Bourne, who, by the way, unfortunately has just been buried on the depth chart in New England as if he just doesn't exist. That kind of sucks. But it is what it is. Shout out Kendrick Bourne. Very, very cool, humble dude. But for me, when it comes down to Juwan Jennings, you keep him. He definitely makes the squad strictly based on the fact that you have to have a guy like him to be able to get those first downs when you need him to be able to stretch that extra mile to be able to put yourself into position for things. That scrappy guy that'll go up and get it and fight for it. That's why you have Juwan motherfucking Jennings. So he definitely makes the squad. And the last two guys we don't even really have to speak about very much, strictly based on the fact that we already know what's going on with these dudes. BA said he ready to take off. He looking for 1,000-yard season and double-digit touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? And we all know what Debo brings to the table, his dual threat versatility with him being a running back, him being a wide receiver, him being, the wide back that he is, all of those things. Like, we already know exactly what's coming with these two guys. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at the numbers and figures, so Brandon Ayuk led the team in receiving. He played all 17 games, 114 targets, 1,015 yards. So we had a 1,000-yard receiver, which we usually don't have for a very long time. He had 8 TDs. You see what I'm saying? So, and out of those 1,000 yards, 388 of them were yak. You see what I'm saying? So then you switch over to Deebo Samuel. He had 56 receptions, and he wound up with 632 yards receiving, 11.3 yards a catch, 2 TDs on the year. You know what I mean? So it was a little frustrating when it came to Deebo. And then you had him, he ran the ball 42 times. He averaged 5.5 yards a carry, and then he had 3 TDs there. So last year seemed to be a little bit of a down year for Deebo, but, this is the first year of his new contract here, so he'll be able to go ahead and play that out and do what he needs to do and keep things rolling in the right direction. Hopefully, we can see an uptick in his production because we need that from him. He has to be, consistently healthy, and he's got to be on that field making plays, not getting himself hurt, and being smart about it, starting to make more business decisions because the more reckless you are when you play, the more contact that you take, harder it is on your body later on in life. Don't believe me? Look what happened to Jim McMahon from the Chicago Bears. Won that Super Bowl, and now, unfortunately, he's got a long history of health issues that it's just hard to take care of, man. And, the players' union is only going to do so much. You still got to have your own money. And you got to remember, back in the day, these dudes didn't have the financial advisors and the access to the internet and all these people to make sure that they had the money long term and invested it properly and all those things. They didn't have those luxuries. So, it's like now when you play, it makes life easier. You're smarter. You're like, you know what? I can do this. I can do that. That's just how it works. But Debo's got to be on the field, number one. He's got to be on that field. He's got to be there to make plays, and he has to be, that guy that we know he is. That's all we're really asking is just for him to, be smart about things and stay on that field, stay healthy, and avoid contact if you have to. Chris Johnson furthered his career because he made sure he avoided contact. While people said he was scared, Chris Johnson was smart. He was prolonging his career as a running back. When you have that God-given speed like that, when you can just run and you're just fast, doesn't matter how you're running, you're just ridiculously fast like that. You know that speed won't last forever, and you know that taking hits is going to, mess with that. So you just get smart about it. That's what he did. But I do expect BA to have another 1,000-yard season, and I expect Debo to have himself at least another 1,500-yard season from scrimmage with at least double-digit touchdowns. We're talking about 12, 13, whether it be between rushing and receiving, or hell, all receiving. I don't care, but that's it. And yeah, man, those are the receivers. That's all I had really. I like the crop of guys that we have. I think if anybody's going to make it out of that squad, the bottom end of the tier, I think it's going to be Ronnie Bell. Kid's got a lot of talent, and he just, his tape screams that he should be on the squad. The other guys, they're all just stragglers, man. I don't believe in Chris Conley. I don't believe in Willie Snead. Just a bunch of old vets just hanging out. They ain't like it's. And to me, I don't understand why you have people around that you wouldn't possibly use. They just there. And sometimes it is. You just give people a job. Kyle is notorious for doing what? What do I always say? Helping out the home. So that's just kind of how it works, man. But I'll be back probably a little bit later today with another video. I'm going to figure out some stuff, see what we got as far as, probably just talking about the offensive line. Now, if I go ahead and get the offensive line going, when I do that, I'm definitely going to try to have me a couple guests because the offensive line there's a lot to talk about. There's a little bit of turnover as far as that goes. There's a variety of things we got to get on with the O-line. So I'm going to make sure I have some guests with me that'll give their insights to the offensive line and see if they can talk about some things. But thank y'all for blessing me with your presence. Everyone have a wonderful day, and I'll be back a little bit later. Peace.